Hi folks, I'm Jason and this is my daily vlog called Living with CMT. I hope you enjoy. Evening folks, it's Tuesday evening. It's 3 minutes past 6. I haven't done a lot today at all, to be perfectly honest with you. I've done a little bit of writing. I've done a lot of surveys, an awful lot of surveys. I've spoke to a few people, my sister, a friend of mine online, Stephen Cook. Now, when I asked yesterday about poems being written out, he loves it. He loves me reading poems out. And excuse me, I'm just getting myself comfortable. And with whiskey and coke in hand, Gentleman Jack, brilliant drink if you like your whiskey. I'm about to read out a poem, which I will pause before I read it out because it's a long poem. It's the longest poem I ever wrote, and it's called Life. Well, A Life. It's basically about a person's life, and I hope you enjoyed. So I'm just going to pause for now, and then I will do me poem. Right, here's the poem, and it's called Life Isn't Fair. Where do I begin with the story that I tell? It's the one about the man and his rise and fall to hell. It's the one where we ask questions like who, what, when and why. It's that famous old story that you could believe's a lie. It starts with his youth and the troubles that he knew, and it really is about all the bad things he's been through. Don't think his life was easy and he always had his way, because that wasn't it at all. In fact, he never had a say. Of course, don't get me wrong, he was loved by his mum and dad, except of course the times when he was very bad. But after all, we've all been there and there were no words for it. But it had a bad effect, and he never got over it. He went from bad to good though, and things they did look great, and he turned into the person that people appreciate. He always did his best to please, which we know sometimes hurts, but he became a better man and confounded all the experts. From school to college with 3 straight A's and B's, he wanted to be a traveller and explorer overseas, but he found out the hard way that life isn't always fair, and despite his greatest efforts he never made it there. He did get a degree though in accountancy and maths, and the job he got himself led him down many paths. He was a success at last, and his mum was very proud. So was dad as well, but he didn't shout it loud. He'd always been a loner, a single man at heart, but it wasn't long before his heart was torn apart. Jane her name was, beautiful too if I remember right. Then the bad things seemed to fade, instead he found a light. He was married to her before he knew, when the years went rolling by, and he knew that he was a happy man as he wiped a tear from his eye. He had everything he wanted, and he was content from what I know, but fate was to deal him a very savage blow. What I will say now destroyed him inside, and gone was everything, even his pride. He looked back and for years and still couldn't say exactly what happened that cold misty day. He was driving along, his wife next to him, when all of a sudden his eyes they went dim. He tried to gain control of the wheel. He heard his wife shout, and he heard grating steel. He woke up to see a nurse looking down. She started to smile, then gave him a frown. He'd been in a coma for a long time, she said, and later he found out his wife, she was dead. Well, now he had no reason to live. His friends rallied round him with reasons to give. He listened politely, but did not take it in, and the release he found was a needle in his skin. He'd heard about drugs from a friend at work, and the first time he took them they drove him berserk. But after a while he wanted more and more. It seemed to himself he had to settle a score. Well, his work went downhill, and soon he was sacked, and his money dried up, and that was a fact. He turned to crime, just stealing at first, but he found release like a bubble that's burst. He moved on from stealing and went on to worse, because he began to feel that life was a curse. The rest of his life he spent breaking the law, till one day he decided he could take it no more. With a bottle of pills and whiskey to drink, he took them all and started to think, what have I done with my life that is good? And as he was dying he finally understood. With his last bit of strength he stood and he walked, and it appeared as he moved with the angels he talked. And he stopped in the road, and the cars they sped by, and he saw her waiting right there in the sky. She smiled when she saw him and beckoned him on. He cried to the sky, but then she was gone. He died right there on his own in the road, finally weighed down by life's heavy load. The funeral I went, and I cried and I prayed, and into the ground his body was laid. So when I look back on the life that he had, was it really that different between what's good and bad? The poem you've just heard, I wrote years ago, and the strange thing was, when I wrote it, it was before I met Deb, and when I wrote it, when I met Deb and I read it to Deb, she actually couldn't believe it. She had a tear in her eye, and I thought, wow, I know it's a nice poem and that, but apparently she knew somebody, and it was almost their life story. She said it was so similar to somebody that she'd known, and yet I wrote this before I'd met Deb. And I think that's the thing, you see. We all go through life thinking that things will balance themselves out. Now, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I mean, I've got a very bad health. I've got problems with CMT and all that, like everybody on this site has, on the group. But I wouldn't swap it for for full health if I didn't have Deb in my life, my wife. If I didn't have Deb in my life, then it would all be pointless anyway. And I wouldn't say, well, I tell you what, I'll have my legs back and my hands back, but it doesn't, I don't need my wife. I wouldn't say that in a million years. I would not swap her for anything. And I'd go through it all again, absolutely everything I've been through, which is a lot, trust me. And you read my biography, because I'm writing it at the moment, then you'll know. And I would not swap it for the world, because every path I went down and everything I did led me to meeting Deb and led me to the life I've got now. Which, it isn't brilliant. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a bloody, I haven't got money spare that I can throw about left, right and centre. I haven't got loads and loads of friends that I have parties with or, that are bothered about me, really. I've only got a few close friends. I made more friends through the internet, to be honest with you. I mean, I've got a couple of buddies who I've had for a long time. Mr. Ian Maddock down in Stoke. Shane Moody, who I've known for absolutely years. Cole Bradbury, I mean, I've known these people for years, but I've got some that I've only known recently, within the last 10, 15 years, and that's Tony next door, Tony Dolby, and more recently Mr. Stephen Cook, who I've made a good friend with there. I'm hoping at some point we'll meet up and have a cuppa together, because he seems like a really decent bloke. And like I say, as you go through life and you get through your 30s and 40s, you don't make as many friends, but the ones that you do make are usually good friends. They're not just clingers, they're not just hanger-ons, they don't want anything from you, they just want your friendship. And I think that's more important than having 1,000 friends. I've got 39 subscribers on my channel, and I would rather have that than 300 people that just don't look at your videos. If I've got 39 subscribers and a third of them watch my videos each night, I'll be happy. If I can get 10 to 13 people watching my videos per night, I'll be happy. I don't ask for much out of life. Yes, I want to become an author, but not because I want to become some rich, millionaire dude. I don't. I just want to get my books published. I was told years ago I've got a gift for writing, so why shouldn't I share it with the world? People who've read me stuff, they've never complained, they've never had any problems with my books, they've never had any problems with my poetry especially. So, I love writing, and I'll keep on writing as long as I can. Like I say, it's been a bit of a nothing day today. The weather's been so-so, fair to middling. We have had some rain though, we have had a bit of rain earlier. I didn't realise until I let the dog out and she came in like a big pom-pom, big soggy pom-pom, unfortunately. But as I've written that poem and I've read that poem out to you, I'm about to read another one now, but this one's a bit more light-hearted. I hope you enjoy it anyway. So another poem's coming up. Now this one I wrote a while ago, and it's called The Drunken Chef. Well, The Drunken Chef's Hangover Cure, and I'll read it as I wrote it. So enjoy. Ignore the slurring and everything. I'm not had too much whiskey. This is how I actually wanted it read out. So here we go. It's called The Drunken Chef's Hangover Cure. Take 2 tablespoons of different flours. I used buttercups and geraniums, and 3 eggs, cracked, 2 still have powers. Then 6, 8, hold on, not too good at sums. Just tip some sugar till it's sweet. Add milk by the jarful. Jar? Oops, this is mayo. Now add some, can't read the label. Oh, gin, neat. And some whiskey if you like. Makes you go, hey. And then, if you can still see and you're feeling brave, put it in the oven till it's done. Make sure the gas is on, tell the cooker to behave, and then fight with the controls till you've won. Sleep for several hours and avoid the swirling dreams. Wake up and wonder what the smell is. Fall down the stairs while hearing your neighbour's screams, and hug the banister and give it a kiss. Swear over and over while you look for your legs, and walk into the pits of hell. And if the smell don't get too much on your nose, put a peg. Recipe complete, lovely taste. Strips paint as well. Today's video, to be honest with you, it was just fillers. I've not really looked at a lot of news as such. I've tried to avoid it, I think, because I think yesterday, to be honest with you, it was some of the most depressing news I've seen. The only news story I will comment on, and though it's a sad one, it's something I am going to comment on, is we lost a fantastic footballer today, world-class goalkeeper, who I am thankful to say I have got a personal signed autograph thanks to my mate Ian Maddock down in Stoke. And that is Gordon Banks, who passed away today, aged 81. He'll always be remembered for one hell of a save, and if you get a chance to watch it on YouTube, just have a look for the Gordon Banks save from the Palais header. It was absolutely ridiculous, and to this day I have no idea how he did it, because Palais headed the ball and it was going down into the bottom corner of the goal, and Gordon Banks managed to dive, and with his hand on almost on the ground, he managed to flip the ball from the floor to go over the crossbar, which, as anybody will tell you, goalkeeper footballer, is almost impossible. And he did it, and it looks amazing, even looks amazing all these years on. So if you get a chance, just check it out, Gordon Banks. You know, unfortunately, like I say, we lost him today. Bless him. So yeah, that was the only news story I really paid any attention to today. I'm going to do another video tomorrow, and I'll have a couple of films to rate because I'm going up in a minute. It's 6:20, and I'm going to watch a couple of films. So you all take care, and I'll do some movie reviews tomorrow. Thank you for watching my daily vlog. I hope it was informative and interesting. If you like what I'm doing, then you can subscribe to my channel by clicking there. And if you want to see exactly what I was talking about yesterday, you can look up there. Bye for now.